Alright guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're back now and trade deadline day is today, February 9th. So I'm just going to be going over all the trades that have happened in the past few days, starting at I think February 6th was where everything started to sort of unroll. So I'm going to start by starting there and we'll gradually get into the deeper stuff. Right, so this year's deadline kicked off with a huge sort of dynamite. It kicked off with Kyrie Irving and Markieff Morris being traded to Dallas in return for Spencer Dinwiddie, Dorian Finney-Smith, a 29 first round pick, 27 and 29 second round picks. Now, I personally love this trade. We know Kyrie and Josiah weren't quite seeing eye to eye. We know they weren't trying to give him an extension. So it only made sense that he wanted out. He requested a trade and they sent him to Dallas. Now, there was rumblings for the Lakers. I mean, we don't know how that would have played out. If they did get him, that would have been insane. But he did end up on Dallas with Luka, and he actually had his debut last night, and he looked great. I'll be honest, guys. He looked insane. I'm pretty sure he dropped like 24, 5 and 4, I believe. In a win, he seems to be comfortable there, and this is what Dallas has needed. Dallas has needed a superstar, and I said it in my last video that if Dallas were to make a big move, is going to be a shocker. And Kyrie was moved within a day of requesting his trade. It was a shocker to the world, the way he was moved. But yeah, I think Dallas now, they have a lot more chance to compete. They are a Western Conference Finals fringe team, I think, now. Especially with how stacked the West is. We'll get further into that as we go. But Dallas now being a competitor, Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving in a backcourt. I mean, offensively, that's too much firepower. You have probably two of the top 5 scorers in the league on the same team, in the same backcourt. Markieff Morris, again, a good bench piece coming off the bench, whether he's going to start or bench. I'm not sure how Jason Kidd wants to run that. But he can play you playoff minutes. He can play you regular season minutes. He's good from the 3. Now, the Nets kind of got scammed on this one. I'll have to be honest. I mean, this whole trade deadline is not how they envisioned it going. I mean, after this trade, they said they weren't going to move Kevin Durant, but we'll get into that later. Spencer Dinwiddie and Dorian Finney-Smith are now on this team. Dinwiddie, he'll give you 20 a night. He's given Brooklyn 20 a night before. He'll be perfectly fine. Dorian, again, good 3-and-D guy, solid on the defensive end. It was the draft capital for me. I feel like for a star like Kyrie Irving, the draft capital was not sufficient. I feel like it should have been 2 firsts and a second. But again, I don't know if Dallas even had the extra first to give up. I'm not sure about their pick collection. But then I kind of thought about it again. He is a rental, or potentially a rental if he doesn't re-sign at the end of the year. But I still feel like because I value Kyrie's skill a lot more than anything else, I feel like the Nets got fleeced here. Just ever so slightly. But still, both teams seem to be happy. Well, if I was the Nets side and Net fans, I'd be a little bit unhappy. But Dallas fans are over the moon. I think Kyrie and Luka are going to be great. I think Kyrie re-signs here simply because it will be the first time where he's got a star player alongside him, but he's also kind of leading. Like, if you guys, I don't know if any of you watched the Dallas game against the Clippers, but he was leading that team. He was a leader, a true leader. Like we've seen on and off with the Nets, we knew that was KD's team. Dallas, same thing as Luka's team, but Kyrie seems to be leading that group. But yeah, we'll just have to see how well these guys can mesh over the next, how many games are left? 30 games left of the season, and then we'll have to see what the playoff progression's like. But I think this is going to be great. I think Dallas are going to be great in the off season. Now moving on to February 7th, we had one trade go down. The Nets moved Kessler Edwards for David Michinow to the Kings. I don't know who David Michinow is, I'll be honest. Haha, casual. But Kessler Edwards, I mean, he was good off the bench for Brooklyn. He gave good minutes. So I don't know whether this was a salary move or what. I've not looked too far into this trade, but I just thought I'd mention it that Sacramento, they've got a young guy who could potentially give them minutes off the bench. Right, now we go into the 8th of February where we saw another huge move. So this is a 3-team deal between the Los Angeles Lakers, the Minnesota Timberwolves, and the Utah Jazz. The Los Angeles Lakers acquired D'Angelo Russell back again. The snitch, he's back. Malik Beasley and Jared Vanderbilt. Minnesota acquired Mike Conley, 3 first-round picks, and Nickeil Alexander-Walker. And the Utah Jazz acquired Russell Westbrook, a first-rounder, GTA, and Damian Jones. GTA, Juan Toscano Anderson for casuals. But yeah, now this was huge, right? We know Utah have been linked to Russ. I believe they are buying him out if that goes through. I don't know if he's going to play to the end of the season, but I've heard they're buying him out, and Chicago are interested. I believe the Hornets are interested, and the Suns were interested. Maybe they still are. I don't know, but for this, there's really only one winner, and that's the Lakers. I mean, the Timberwolves, Conley he's like 36 now. I don't think he's going to be doing much. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, though, on the other hand, could be a nice little piece for them. But I feel like the Timberwolves gave up a bit too much in this deal for what they got in return. The Lakers are clear winners here. D'Angelo Russell and Malik Beasley, 2 guys who can start for you straight away. Jared Vanderbilt, who can give you stuff off the bench. D'Lo, he's back in LA. He'll give you a quiet 18 to 20 a night, 7-8 assists. He's exactly what these guys have needed in this Los Angeles squad. They need a floor general that's not LeBron, because LeBron right now he's in his scoring mode. They've needed a guy who can run the floor like that. They've needed a bit of shooting, which D'Angelo Russell and Malik Beasley starting will give you. But yeah, I think the Lakers are clear winners here. I think this pushes them a little bit up as well. In terms of postseason, I feel like they're going to be a lot bigger threat than people think, regardless of where they finish seeding wise. I think you add D'Angelo Russell to this current squad, you add Malik Beasley, the shooting's there. You've got LeBron still, you've got AD. Whether he's healthy or not is a problem in itself. But I think the Lakers will be fine this offseason. The West will be great. I'm telling you guys, come playoff time and people are healthy, the West will be absolutely insane. But yeah, and Utah, I mean, they get JTA, Damian Jones, and a first rounder for an old point guard and a young guy, a couple of picks too. I think this is good for them just because in the direction they're going, they managed to pick up on a pick. They managed to get 2 guys who can be put on championship benches. They'll definitely get value out of those 2 guys. You buy out Russ too. Everyone's happy in this trade. I believe Minnesota, again, I still think they kind of got a little bit fleeced with this one. I don't see Mike Conley. I'm not sure how long he's got in his contract, but I'm pretty sure he's not got that long left on it. So I can't see him really sticking around for too long. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, though, that'll be the determination for the Timberwolves. And again, with Russ's buyout situation, it's going to be really interesting to see where he ends up. I was reading a thread on Reddit, on the Chicago Bulls Reddit. A fan was saying how they could make it work with a Russ and Lonzo backcourt, move Zach to the 3, DeMar to the 4. I don't know if that'll work. The small ball lineup is kind of risky, especially with the defensive side, but that's not like a cemented thing right now. We're going to have to see if Utah buy him out or if they play him till the end of the season, and we'll have to pretty much see what goes on with Westbrook. Now we have February 9th. Now, there were 3 trades that went down. We're going to go back to front with this, start with the latest one. Josh Hart is acquired by the New York Knicks in return for Cameron Reddish, a protected future first, Svi. I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce his second name. Ryan Osidekano. So I think for Josh Hart, this was fair value. I think everyone's happy here. There's no problems there. To me, this signified that Portland is looking to rebuild. You got Cam Reddish, who really just hasn't been great. I mean, everyone keeps saying give him the opportunity. He's not in the right opportunity, which can be true. He's not in the right place. But I don't know. I think he's just had a bit too much, movement to be banking on him, because I really enjoyed him in college. I really enjoyed him in high school. He was knocked down. He was meant to be the next Brandon Ingram. Who knows? Maybe he still could in Portland if they give him the chance. But I don't know. I don't know what's going on with him. I don't know what's going on with how he'll play in Portland. Whether he'll be off the bench, starting, whatever. But yeah, I think this was a little bit of a salary dump for Portland too. They got a first rounder out of it. They're happy. Toronto and San Antonio. So Toronto acquires Jakob Poeltl for Ken Birch, a first and 2 seconds, which for the way Toronto's going, this kind of didn't make sense to me, because they're giving up firsts and seconds for a role player, which didn't make sense to me. But I guess we know Toronto's staying together for now. Whether they start moving pieces in the off-season, we'll have to wait and see. But Pascal's still on the team. Van Vliet's still on the team. OG's still on the team. I feel like this kind of leads into our next trade here with the fact that OG was not moved. We know the Nets were heavily pursuing him. He was not moved. And I feel like that's kind of what led to this next trade that we're going to discuss. Same way Pascal's still there, Fred's still there. We really will have to see what these Raptors guys do in the off-season. And now, the big one for this deadline. Phoenix Suns acquire Kevin Durant and TJ Warren. Brooklyn gets in return Mikal Bridges, Cameron Johnson, Jay Crowder, and how many first-round picks is that? 4 unprotected first-round picks and 1 first-round pick swap. Now, this was a shock to everyone. Even when I read this, I was like, wow. I woke up and I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. Because the Nets were not focused on moving KD. That's one thing that they were putting out to the media. They don't want to move KD. But it seemed like after the OG Anunoby trade talks to Brooklyn kind of broke off, that's when we stopped hearing much about Brooklyn at all. Which is, I'm guessing, where this trade was constructed. This is now the most expensive big four in the league. Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, DeAndre Ayton, Chris Paul, $137.27 million this year between them. I think these guys, for me, they're coming out of the West. Depending on if KD is healthy, they'll come out of the West if he is. I think you slot KD into any team, even with 30 games left, he's going to gel. He's got a relationship with Devin Booker. He's got a relationship with Chris Paul already. I think these guys are going to be great. I think they'll be fine. But this is how exciting the West is right now. And for Kevin Durant, there is no equal trade value, but I think the Nets did a great job getting back what they could with this. Mikal Bridges, Defensive Player of the Year candidate for the past 2 seasons, pretty much. Great on the 3. Cam Johnson, same thing, great 3-and-D guy. Jay Crowder, you know how tough he is. You know that he can give you playoff minutes. It's just, I don't know how Brooklyn are going to restructure their roster right now. You've still got Ben Simmons, who's been pretty much collecting checks for no reason at this point. You've got the young guys, Cam Thomas, Nick Claxton, those guys. I think it's time for Brooklyn to potentially look at moving Mikal, look at moving Cam, and Ben Simmons needs to move too, and potentially just enter a full rebuild at this point. Which it looks like the path they're taking with all the unprotected picks. Phoenix are competing. That's it. They're competing. For as long as they have Kevin Durant signed and Chris Paul signed, they are competing. Western Conference Finals is a minimum for these guys. There's no trouble surrounding this team. There's a new owner in Phoenix. Come this week, he's acquired Kevin Durant, and they're going to make noise in the playoffs. Now, the West is wide open right now. It's going to be so interesting, so competitive, because by the end of the season, we'll see which teams have benefited and which teams haven't. But I'm going to put it out there right now. I think the Mavs and the Suns right now are the top guys in the West. You can slot Denver and the Clippers in there too with those guys. I think it's gonna be crazy because I think any team between Denver, Phoenix, Mavericks, and the Clippers could come out of the West. Now in the East, I think there's three teams: the Celtics, the Bucks, and the 76ers. So I don't really know how this is going to play out, but I'm hoping that the Phoenix Suns now, they're going to make it back to the finals, and we'll have to see how well they gel, how well the team moves, if KD can stay healthy. I feel like now he has more reliable players on his team. He can start to take little breaks when he needs to avoid injury. But we know when playoff time comes around, Kevin Durant is about his business. So yeah, that's all I have for you guys today. Make sure you leave a like, subscribe if not already. All my links are in the description down below. And I'll see you guys next time. Peace.